In this week's Parsha, we have such a clear example of the ultimate Gullus wife versus the ultimate Geula wife. We have the wife of Korach, who started a mutiny against Moses, against Moshe Rabbeinu, which is probably the worst thing ever to do, is cause an uprising against the leader of the generation appointed by God. And then you have the wife of a simple man named On ben Pelet. So let's look at both of their stories for a moment and see what we can learn from these different women. And of course, there's different spiritual realities in play when we look at people, from different lens of Chassidus. There's different advantages, but we're going to look today at just the simple level of the text. So we have the story of Korach. What happened is that Korach came home from Levite training, and what was happening is that every single day, the Levium, they were going in, they were learning from Moshe Rabbeinu, like how to be a Levi. And there was this one-time inauguration where they had to be completely shaven. And he comes home, Korach comes home to his tent, to his wife, and she says, "You look like a mouse," because he was completely bald, completely shaven. And what she did is she dug into his insecurities and his weak points and brought him to his more base level fears and insecurities. So you look like a mouse, like Moshe Rabbeinu, he just made you do that to make you look silly. She undermined his feeling of confidence and the fact that he was playing a divine role in the Jewish people, and rather made him feel useless or like a failure. And a lot of the things we see brought in the Gemaras and the Medrash about what Korach was saying against Moshe Rabbeinu actually came from her. So what do we see is he came home, and she's like, "What did you learn today, Korach?" And he said, "Oh, I learned about techelet. I learned that when you have tzitzis, you have to attach a blue thread from this special dye that's a special blue. It's called techelet." And she's like, "Wait a second. I can make you a garment completely blue, completely out of techelet. Would you still need that blue string?" Basically, what she was saying to him is what you're learning isn't legit. She took away this confidence of what he was achieving and what he was doing and undermined it. And this other idea of also the idea of Korach brought to Moshe Rabbeinu in this mutiny of saying, "Oh, well, if there's a room filled with Torah scrolls, you still need a mezuzah." Basically, this insecurity that she was bringing out in her husband, in Korach, was, are you really special? Are you really playing your divine role? Are you really at the top? Are you actually connected? Or are you just one in a million? And now let's contrast to the wife. And ultimately, this all led to the downfall of Korach, and they all got swallowed into the earth, except for the few sons that did tshuva on the way down. And we have special psalms that were written by the sons of Korach because they did this tshuva. Okay, let's contrast that with the wife of On ben Pelet. So they were a simple family, right? They weren't coming from Yichos, in contrast to Korach's family that had such a, prestigious lineage. They came from such an amazing family. They were related to Moshe Rabbeinu. On contrast, this is just a simple Jewish family with their simple tent, their simple life. And when she realized that her husband had been swept up in this idea of joining Korach and against his rebellion against God, against Moshe, because any rebellion against Moshe is obviously a rebellion against God, because God chose Moshe as the leader, as his mouthpiece to the Jewish people. So when she realized this, she was horrified. And she said, "No, this is not who my husband is. I believe in my husband. My husband has a godly soul. He's a direct connection to Hashem. This is not him. I'm not buying into this negativity. I'm not buying into this picture." She did not stop believing in him. So she said to him, she's like, "Listen, what's it to you if you join Korach? Either way, either you're under Moshe Rabbeinu or you're under Korach." What she was saying to him is, don't focus on all these politics and what's going on out there. Focus on yourself. Focus on your connection to Hashem. Either way, you're not Korach and you're not Moshe Rabbeinu. You're you, and you can serve Hashem where you are, right? Whereas Korach's wife was saying, you're not good enough. You're not enough. You're not high enough. You're not holy enough. She was saying, you're holy. You're good. You're doing what you need to do to serve Hashem. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. You've got this. But he was so in a place of not believing in himself, of giving up on himself, he said, okay, but I already swore to Korach that I'm going to join his mutiny, so I'm lost. I'm a lost cause. There's nothing I can do. So what she did was she got him drunk, and she gave him strong foods to eat and drink, so he didn't wake up in the morning. And when people came to wake him up, say, "Come on, let's go rebel against Moshe," she sat outside her tent and untied her hair. And this is actually one of the texts, the text in the Shor Shebechsav, in the written Torah, in the Chumash, 5 books of Moshe, that we learn about the source for covering her hair, because they were like, she's crazy. It was an embarrassment. They were like, whoa, this is like something weird is happening. Her hair is untied outside of her tent. There's something weird going on. We gotta go. Like, it made them ditch the whole scene. So this is how she protected her husband. Like, she even put herself out, in this way, because she so much believed in her husband. She was so worth saving. She didn't give up on him for a moment, even to her own detriment. In a way, she did that. And it just reminds me of the idea of kol nidre, that, we untie all the promises at kol nidre. Kol nidre means untying the knots. All the promises, all the false beliefs we're going to make about ourselves this coming year, we nullify them in advance. So in the way she untied her hair, she untied those negative beliefs about her husband, and the bed started shaking, because he was going to, when the earth opened for Korach, it was also going to open for him. And she's like, prayed to Hashem. She's like, no, my husband is good. I believe in him. Give him a second chance. And her prayers were answered. And she said to her husband, go apologize to Moshe, go make peace. And he wouldn't. So she went and brought Moshe Rabbeinu to her husband's tent in order for them to make peace and for them to regain their status, as faithful Jews. And, their lineage continued to be part of the beautiful Jewish people. But really, this is a woman who believed in her husband, who knew her husband's unique role, who knew that just because he isn't at the top doesn't mean anything. He's him, and he's worth, and he's value. And even if he made a mistake, or even if he got confused, she focused on her belief in him. And even when he didn't believe in himself, she 100% believed in him, to the point of going to Moshe Rabbeinu to get Moshe Rabbeinu to come so that he could do tshuva and apologize and regain his faith. And so we really see the power here of, in Korach's wife, of the power of undermining our husbands and making them feel not good enough, or like a failure, or like they didn't go high enough, or, picking on an insecurity or a wound that even if someone from the greatest family fell to the lowest. And we see, the wife of On, who's able to take someone who's a simple Jew and actually allow him to have this journey, this soul journey of tshuva, and not being swallowed into the earth, not going into the negativity, not just believing in himself and believing that he's a lost cause, but having the opportunity to reconnect to who he truly is. So may we be blessed to be Geula wives, to connect to our husband's greatness, to believe in them even when they don't believe in themselves, to know what is picking at an insecurity and a weakness within ourselves, and to not Korach wife ourselves, and to not Korach wife, Geula's wife our husbands, but to really be able to say, no, this is insecurity, this is a weak point, and I'm not going to lean into that. I'm going to lean into his greatness. I'm not going to buy into his insecurities. Even if he tells me his insecurities 10 times a day, even if he gave up on himself, I am a Geula wife. I am a daughter of Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, of the Jewish women, and I trust in the power of positive belief, because we see every single time it has the ability to lift anyone from literally the pits to greatness. Thank you, and wishing you an amazing Shabbos Kodesh.